Cancer, the moon is in Leo and she's asking what ways can you bring in more play in your life to keep the dreams of that inner child inspired. Stick around to find out how you can work with these energies. But before we jump into that, for those of you who are returning, welcome back Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, likes and shares. Your support really is just grand, Cancer. And I thought I had a more playful word than that. And it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and just know that whenever you find this video finds you, you are in sync with the moon, and welcome to the Soul Tribe. And also for those of you who are new, this is the purpose of this channel. For those of you who have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Mercury, wherever Cancer, this one's for you. And I do tarot card spreads based off the speedy moon here. And again, I thought I had something more grand than that. It's fine, Cancer. Rhonda's been sleeping for a while. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void of course, just all those lunar shenanigans, and apparently Justin shenanigans today. And just so y'all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, never force a reading on a situation, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Actually, Cancer, we're getting ready to do our famous shift here because, as you guessed it, we got a crucial one here, Cancer. But just so, well, I guess actually we can just jump into it first here before I talk. But just know, Cancer, your space has been cleansed. The crystals are feeling lovely. Great energy all around here. And actually, I'll be shuffling while I talk about the, oh, actually, no, I won't because I got to draw. So, Cancer, we are, as you said, like I was saying, the moon has entered Leo today. And depending on when you're watching this, it's a moon day. And moon days really are great for tuning into where the moon is at, especially to figure out what needs that are needing to be nurtured into this day. And you know, with the moon being in Leo, this is a very playful energy. This is when I think about Leo, that is getting into that inner child energy. And when they talk about the creative side of Leo, it's because when you think about kids, they have such vivid imaginations. And I feel that Leo energy is where we go to recharge after we've spent so much time in that kind of heavy introspective energy of Cancer, you know, when we're dealing and processing with all of those emotions. And so I feel this moon days, I feel like are really great days for just kind of nurturing yourself, tending to the home space, maybe even just taking care of those around you, and really just kind of seeing where you are at emotionally, how you can incorporate a little more play, you know, maybe indulge in maybe some hobbies that you haven't made time for. But the moon is going to be entering into Leo on Moon Day, the 13th of May at 3:35 a.m. and that'll be Pacific time. And we are going to be entering into our first quarter phase, as you see here. Let me get my handy dandy drawer here. We're going to be in that first quarter phase on a Mercury day. That'll be the 15th at 4:47 a.m. And with the first quarter phase, this is the first major kind of aspect that the moon is forming with the sun. And this is when she is forming a square. And if you'll see here, you have the sun here at 25 degrees, 8 minutes of Taurus. And the moon is the same degrees and minutes, but in Leo. Now, when you talk about squares, as you can see in the circle here, this is when they're forming a 90-degree, there we go. They form a 90-degree angle. I know my drawing skills are impressive. And the squares can bring about inner conflict. They can bring about challenges. They can bring about delays. It's this inner tension that is going on. And how I feel this maybe could translate for some is, I feel that there's this energy of now you've set this intention and we've reached this point where, you know, we've gotten in the groove of it, but now there are some things that are maybe starting to interfere with that. Maybe what started off as, you know, it's always really exciting when you're starting up something new. You have all this, you know, this childlike wonder, I feel, is being emphasized here with the moon, but you get really excited about something, but then you have your responsibilities that come through. You still got to make maybe go to your job, you still got to maybe take care of kids, maybe you got this, if you own a home, you have all this stuff. And it's like, how do you keep, then hence the tension, the challenge. How do you keep the thing going? And yeah, how do you keep it going in order to keep it like where it's fueling you? You know, how do we successfully integrate this thing? And this is where, as you can see, hold on, let me clear this up here. The Sun and Uranus are just separating from their conjunction that they just had not too long ago. So I feel like while you're kind of, that energy is separating, this is a time to kind of get a little innovative. We may have to play around with the schedule a little bit. Maybe you have to do a little bit less, or maybe you have to move some days around, some times around. Let's say if you got like a workout routine, for example, maybe you wanted to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe we have to do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. Just as a light example, but just kind of, and maybe, or if this is like, if you have to, if you're used to working on in the day, maybe you have to get switched up into night. And then how do we integrate that there? How do we switch up our eating routines, you know? So it can be a bit tough sometimes when we set those intentions and we're met with that everyday life. You know, what you're doing is starting to incorporate into the real world. Is starting to get into the 3D. So of course there are going to be some tweaks and things that we're going to need to be made. It's a time, the first quarter is a time to be flexible, to be adaptable, and that can be tough considering that we're in this fixed energy here, because as you can see here, the Sun is in this very interesting type of conjunction going on here, this outer planet sandwich here, because you got Uranus at 23, the Sun at 25, and then Big Papa, Jupiter, at 27 degrees here. And it's very interesting because it's like the Sun is not really getting a break. It's like it's integrating one energy and going into another. And I feel like if this was something where you didn't set a particular intention, I feel that this can be just, where are you noticing that there's tension in your life, and how can you incorporate more moon energy? How can we get more play into that? How can you make something, if you something, let's say if it's just feeling just unbearable, how do you bring more, just a bit more joy into that? You know, I've had to do this side gig for a little bit just to get a little extra income coming in, and luckily, where it's not quite what I want to be doing, it does keep me where I can listen to, I can have like podcast on while I'm doing what I'm doing, so that way I can still be learning some type of thing, have still some sort of stimuli while doing something else in there, and that way it feels like the time was, at least there was some sort of intention that was set into that. And this is where I feel, again, that adaptability is going to be needed, especially with Uranus kind of being into play here. We're going to need to be innovative in order to do this, because you are growing into something, because the Sun is approaching Jupiter in this conjunction here, and Jupiter just got done talking with Uranus. So it's a lot of big things that I feel are getting ready to happen as all these planets are about to move into Gemini. And so this is a time to really kind of enjoy this slow pace now, and kind of, I feel, find ways that we can just be in a smoother type of flow, because I do feel like things are going to start getting, not like crazy, but just busier with this Gemini energy that's coming up. I even was getting the picture of, still kind of keeping this kind of slow pace, because as you can see, let me clear this out, last little thing here, Mercury is at the last degree of Aries. Like, they've been in Aries for quite a while, and they're going to be entering into Taurus here shortly. And then as these other planets move into Gemini a few days later, like within the next week, yes, Gemini is a social energy, but I feel that it can be one where instead of like a wild crowd, I'm almost picturing like a crowd in like a big city. It's more so like, like more so kind of peaceful conversations, an easy breezy kind of conversation, something that you're talking over like a lunch with a friend, if that makes sense, or something where we're more so kind of game planning, but not from a place of panic, but from a place of like, hey, I've been thinking about some things, I've been making these adjustments in my life, how have you been processing all the stuff that's been going on there, and kind of getting like a collective feel of what's going on in each other's world. I feel like this can be a time of kind of uplifting here, because the thing too that's kind of wild with this square too is that the moon is squared a lot of these energies here. There's a lot that's happening. Being squaring the sun, Uranus, and Jupiter. So I really feel like if there are, again, any areas where you're feeling like unhappy, or just a need to, where you're feeling restricted in some sort of way, I feel like this is the time to find a way to break out of that, to get out of that routine or whatever that happens to be. So just some hopefully some practical tools that you can do to work with this, that you use to work with this energy when you're thinking about these charts. Again, it's hard. We're kind of talking about it in general, but hopefully this is something that helps. Now, also on the same day, a little bit later at about 9:40 a.m., the moon's going to be going void of course. And she'll be going void of course from 9:40 a.m. till 2:32 p.m., where she'll be moving from Leo into Virgo. And the void of course energy is where the moon forms her final aspect with the celestial body before she moves into a sign. They call it in the old days they called it Canadromia, and I like that, where she's known to roam the void. I like to think that's when she's just really kind of sitting introspective and really kind of connecting with the universe. The moon doesn't rotate, and I feel like it's where she's connecting with that side that she doesn't show us, that side that you have to feel. And the aspect that she's going to be forming is a square with Big Papa. And Jupiter deals with how can deal with our optimism. How are we feeling about where our journey's going, about where we've been investing in ourselves and where our value is, where can we, because this can be where Taurus can kind of reveal where, oh, I may not be as secure here as I thought. And then as we get into Gemini, then we can learn different ways and learn things really fast in ways to correct that in order to grow in that area. So Taurus is, again, a very present energy, but with this square happening with Jupiter deals with our optimism. It can deal with our faith, believing that there is going to be a way, because when we find that, and I feel like this is not just that blind optimism, because I have Jupiter conjunct my ascendant, so that's something that I try to be mindful of being overly so, coming with a realistic approach, but still keeping that, like, remembering where, yes, okay, this and this negative thing can happen, this and this positive thing can also happen. So making sure that there is a balance with that. But there may be something where some people are like, maybe they don't believe that they can accomplish whatever dreams that they set off to be. Maybe they feel like that they bit off more than they can chew, and I feel like that's fine. That doesn't mean if you kind of overdid it, we can pull back some. It's like, okay, maybe I'll shelve this for right now and then tackle this at, as however this may be translating. But I feel like this is keeping the faith that if we're going through a harsh time right now, that things are going to alleviate. This isn't going to be tough. Jupiter gives everyone the same amount of blessings. He spends a year in every sign. Has been giving this. And it's what we do. The thing with Jupiter, the trickiness with Jupiter is that sometimes when we think about Jupiter, expands things. And so if we're in a negative, or if we're in a spiral, then Jupiter's just going to expand that tension. But Jupiter does invite us away, we need to do something in order to break ourselves out of that cycle. So it's like, where I understand a situation may be negative, it's like, could we seek something positive to kind of like, oh, okay, that's a good point. I can take this action when I'm ready to do so. So some interesting energy with this Leo with this moon in Leo, but I do feel that the one kind of trickiness with this too, with that kind of childlike energy, I'm even kind of feeling like a tantrum type of energy with this. You know, that potential where if we're not getting exactly what we've maybe wanted, then you know how you can see that with the child. Sometimes they may want this toy and we say no, you can't get that, I can't, not right now or something, and then I mean, back in the day, if that happened, y'all, you just gotta look and it's just like then you were kind of quiet. But you know, just when that kind of like upsetting, when it's just like, my man, I really wanted that thing, but I feel like there's a reason that if something is delayed or if something has been blocked, it's not that you don't deserve it, that you're not getting. It's just maybe there's still some pieces that are needing to be moved, some things that are still kind of coming together before this expansion is kind of starting off, something that maybe you're not seeing yet. And Jupiter is about that bigger picture. So I just feel like this is one where kind of keep that faith, find some things to help keep that faith, to keep that enthusiasm, because Leo, I like the moon in Leo. This is a very uplifting placement for the moon. So, and considering the dispositor of where the moon is at is the sun. The sun is in the sign that she's exalted in. So this is a really kind of nice connection here. Even though she's squared with these planets, there's still like an opportunity to just like, hey, we just need to see what we're believing, what we're getting fixed on. Maybe there's a certain image that we've really kind of been stubborn about, or a point of view that maybe we've been stubborn about that is maybe needing to be adjusted. So just something to think about there, Cancer. And if you're curious how this energy is translating in your chart, book a reading with me. I have links down in the description box below and also on my Instagram page and my bio as well, because it does help to kind of get in the flow of these energies, to know where they're happening in your, well, especially what houses they're happening in your chart, so that you can see the areas at which, you know, these energies want you to focus on. You know, when the moon is traveling through Leo, this is a really kind of fun time. I really like this, because then she's lighting up all of my Leo placements. She's in my Mercury, my Ascendant, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, and it's a really kind of a nicer energy. It is usually a pretty kind of like okay, I can change the dial, switch things back, you know. So and during that time too, she's traveling through that's when she's coming from my 12th to my first house. So now we're in the area of new beginnings, feeling kind of refreshed, revitalized, like, okay, that was a cycle. let's go ahead and let's see where do we go with that? You know, what things did I create from that, and how can I carry that forward? So, you know, seeing where you happen to have, and the house does play a factor into that. So see where where the Leo cusp is at in your chart, and that you can kind of get an idea of what themes, what kind of emotional themes are happening for you while the moon is traversing through that energy. And maybe if you have your moon in Leo, maybe you're going through a lunar return. What is the emotional landscape for the month that's happening for you? So, and that's something that we can go over as well. So, but yeah, if that's something that's resonated with you, definitely check that out there. And here we go, Cancer, and I could have been shuffling. So, Cancer, otherwise, and you know, the void of course too, one last thing to think about while I'm doing some shuffling. The void of course energy is a time of introspection, of going in and just reflecting. I feel like that's the time when the moon reflects on what happened while she was in Leo, and that energy is becoming a memory, you know. And how do we want that to crystallize? How do we want to remember that? What nuggets of wisdom do you want to grow from that? So, I dig that, Cancer. Absolutely. Thank you, higher yourself. Let's get into this thing a little more fire energy, Cancer. All these fire moons. You have the last quarter moon in Sagittarius here, which is the practice gratitude card. And I dig this, Cancer. You know, even in these tough challenges, when we get to these even kind of harder aspects of the squares and like the oppositions, they just don't have to signify something that's bad. Sometimes delays can be blessings in disguise. They can give you a little bit more time to breathe, or give a little bit more time to kind of evaluate, like, oh, maybe I wasn't ready for something yet, or oh, maybe I can do this better. Now that I do have this little more time, I can look over something some more. Maybe I can just get a little more rest and rejuvenated and relax for this next chapter, whatever this is, and expressing gratitude for the challenges. Gratitude is one of those things that I feel is important to practice in both in when you are abundant, and then those moments when you're doubting your abundance, when it feels like things aren't coming in. And I find that it's easier in hindsight to find the gratitude in the grateful times, but I do feel like remembering that and almost like making that like a fixed habit, that you will grow from this and that there will be more opportunities for you to grow, but we have to keep that faith, because that's how Jupiter brings about the luck and the abundance. If we're having tension, if there's something here, there's something that's keeping us from growing. There's something, a challenge that's needing to be met, and a challenge that you're ready for. Because think too, when we're talking about Jupiter is the guardian of both Sagittarius and of Pisces. He's the traditional guardian of Pisces. And Pisces is that energy of awareness. And I feel that the fact that you've become aware of an area in your life that you can be stronger in is a blessing. And again, it may not feel like it in that moment, but when you find in the grand scheme of things, it's something cool. You know what? A nice example of this, I've not, when I've exercising has always been something that has been a part of my life. My mom was a fitness trainer at one point, and she's just always been that's just the model that I've seen, was just her always being active. And I was always very active, but I neglected my upper body quite a bit. I was I ran a lot and did all these things, but then as I got older, I kind of was like, oh, I need to more I got some weights and did this, but at first it was just like, it was a challenge, I'm not lifting, first I had to realize oh man, I'm not lifting very heavy weights. It was a lot of that, it was a lot of tension, but then there was a moment, I remember working at a place and I moved this whole pallet and I didn't even really think about it. And the people kind of looked like, man, that was kind of something. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That was kind of something. And you know what? It took all of those kind of tougher times when I was like, how am I going to lift this? And then seeing how it translates, it's just I'm thankful for those times, because growth was happening, even if it did feel a little uncomfortable. And that's where I feel like movement of the body can help be a really great reminder of that sometimes there is that tension, but it's like going up a flight of stairs, yeah, going up them sucks. But then when you get to the top, it's like, oh my goodness, okay, yes, I'm done. And look at all those stairs that I just came up. Now, maybe I can treat myself to something, it's... Let's get some tarot on this, Cancer. Oh, there we are, Cancer. I can get some details on this. All right, Cancer. Thank you. Higher self. Let's see what's going to hurt. Look at all these ladies. All right, Cancer. Oh, and they're all... All right, small little reversal storm here, Cancer, but that's okay. You have the Queen of Cups, one of our cards, the Queen of Wands, the Hierophant, Taurus energy, the Nine of Swords, and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, Cancer. Now, I feel for some, this is... If we're in a situation right now where we're not feeling secure with the Ten of Pentacles being here, when we're not sure, maybe, because this is Mercury in Virgo, and I feel like maybe we're not sure, it's almost giving me an overwhelmed energy of not sure what direction to go here with the Queen of Wands being in reverse. Maybe there's some frustrated energy that's coming through here, maybe not. I feel with the Hierophant for me can be this card of initiation, going through this trial, this challenge, and I feel like there's not a connecting the dots here with the Hierophant. There's a lot of emotions. The Queen of Cups is in reverse here. Not quite sure what is going on. And it feels that this is a recipe for some just I feel like for just a tough time, for some, maybe just just a lot of reaction. So what I get though with the Nine of Swords, is that knowing that whatever this is, I almost feel like there's a need when you find yourself in these overwhelm. This is when this moon in Leo comes into play here, because she wants you to remove yourself from a situation. And when you find yourself in, like, just in a state of not sure where to go, where to do. And when I say play, this could just go like, just get outside, get out of the energy for a moment, and allow yourself some space to think, in some ways to gather yourself. Get in touch with the present moment, I feel, with, like I said, the Hierophant is Taurus energy. But I feel this can help too. The Hierophant is a bridge between the divine world and the material world. And this can be a time to needing to get in touch with that, and needing to get to, like, okay, I've been in a situation before. I've been in this toughness. How I am resourceful. I have the plan. I just need a moment to. I almost feel this ten of Pentacles is just a need to kind of get grounded in order to get out of your head, so that you can maybe feel a bit more, and then, like, the solution can come that way. Allow yourself, your brain, a break, and allow yourself to kind of not dip into these fears, but, like, really kind of see them for what they are. They're temporary, whatever this experience may be. And and I just feel Cancer is going to be one of those situations, just like always, when you get out of them, to hindsight. And I say this, and I do understand, that situations that are there, we can't laugh at all the situations, but we can turn them into some sort of gold, Cancer. This could be where, do you want those hard times to be the things that define your legacy, or do you take what has maybe happened with you, reflect on this thing, and figure out what we can do to go forward from here? How do we let this thing, it's very interesting. The Queen of Wands is almost like, how do we let a tough situation inspire new action? How do we turn adversity into an advantage? Turn your fears and anxieties into, something wet. And just one last thing here with if we're feeling stuck, or if we're feeling trapped, I feel like the Nine of Swords, especially being in reverse, I like this. The Nine of Swords is Mars and Gemini. And I feel like, sometimes Mars and Gemini can be very reactive, can just sort of just be spontaneous, can't really sit still. And I feel like, but I more so feel like it's not necessarily needing to stop, but just to slow down a little bit in order to see an alternative path. Because Gemini is about duality and seeing, it's very perceptive of different ways of moving, and how to move the energies, when I feel like when we're talking with Mars and Gemini. But let's get some more on this, Cancer. All right, Cancer. You heard yourself. Oh, I like that, Cancer. Oh, yeah, Cancer. Look at you syncing up with the energies. So you have the Two of Swords, the Seven of Cups. I like that. The Seven of Cups and the Devil, Capricorn energy in reverse. And then here's Leo, Cancer. You have the Strength card. And there is strength in gratitude. Because this gratitude, I feel, gives us it again, it helps us see more options. I feel when we think about that, you just think about Sagittarius, that Jupiter energy, because when we dip into our fears, when we let the fears win, when the devil's upright, when we let those fears have power over us, then it does limit our options, with the Two of Swords being in reverse here. It keeps us in this one track mind where we're not sure, like, do I believe in myself? Can I actually do this? It just keeps in that, but what if happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? And then we just kind of stall out and never quite make a decision here, with the Seven of Cups being in reverse, just getting caught in the what ifs. But the devil being in reverse, I feel, is you coming into a different kind of strength here, finding a way to believe that even in tough situations, even if you're not sure, you may not believe it in that moment, but it's just like, if it's happened once, it can happen again. And it's not just, I feel like, something that's happened once. You've overcome challenges before. And I'm not saying that, of course, sometimes the challenges are different. They can vary in degrees. That I do understand. But I feel that the universe, this journey, does not throw more at you than you are ready to handle. And I feel that the devil here is really kind of coming into your strength. It is knowing that there is a way out, that you do have an option, that there are more things, more options than you can realize. You just need, maybe it's just not revealing itself at this moment. And take this, I feel like, the delay, take the time where we're feeling like the universe is pushing it against us, to just kind of sit, you know what, I need to get out of this energy for a little bit. Let me go, maybe talk with a friend, maybe talk with them maybe about this, or yeah, let's get some advice from the sun, Cancer. All right, Cancer. You heard yourself last little bit here. Oh, maybe. There you go. All right, so you have the Eight of Wands, the Moon card, the Page of Cups in reverse, and then you have the Six of Swords and the Four of Pentacles upright. And let's switch back over here, Cancer, because I feel with this energy, see, the moon for me is seeing through an illusion, seeing something for what it really is, a challenge, an experience, something. And again, I don't want to make light of situations, but I do understand that, or I do feel like the Six of Swords is saying that you can move on to new experiences when you're ready to move the energy. I feel like when you're ready to make that move. The Eight of Wands is giving me this, with it being in reverse, is like a message hasn't been received. Why something is happening is still kind of integrating here. And the Four of Pentacles, I feel, is almost being, not grateful that something has happened, but more so grateful for what you've learned from it, because that is that's adding to your value, that's adding to, it's unlocking these gifts. And, you know, the moon card is Pisces, and we're talking about that Pisces side of Jupiter. And, you know, sometimes, you know, Pisces, people can see Pisces as like, you know, they're the last sign of the zodiac. They're, you know, they're associated with the feet, which carries the weight of the body. You know, they say but Pisces understands the point of this whole journey, of this experience, that eventually something has to be let go in order to, you know, in order to come into something new, you know, that is something bigger that is going on than just this kind of this, that sun energy, Leo energy, than just the ego experience here. And with the Page of Cups, we may feel some type of way about that. You know, I think I was talking about that with that kind of immature type of energy, and I feel like it's allowing yourself that compassionate space to feel this stuff. But again, when you look back in hindsight, as I feel happens, it is recalling those times, and I feel like it becomes easier and easier each go around. That is not just like, it's not just there to just, you know, just pound you down all the time, especially when I feel like when we kind of sync up with these cycles, it makes it a little bit easier to, well, I feel like honestly a lot easier to kind of flow, because you're like, oh, okay, this is what that is. Okay, something is, it just keeps the perspective in mind. But, you know, and practicing that regularly, you know, really making that a part of just practicing gratitude can make the falls and the waning sides a lot easier, because it's not just the waning isn't just a time of just letting things go and getting rid of stuff. It's making space for something new to come in, for more abundance to come in. You know, there's more than enough to go around for all of us. So, but I think I'm going to leave that there, Cancer. But if anything resonated with you, or if you like that, give it a thumbs up. And share this, Cancer. If you know someone who's been, maybe not been feeling as abundant, maybe not been feeling that, you're just having trouble seeing through the illusion that there is a lot to be grateful for, and that, you know, situations, you know, again, not discounting situations that happen, but everything happens for a reason. You know, it happens for us, not to us. And then subscribe there, you Queen of Cups. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day, or each time the moon changes signs. And then last little bit there, Cancer. If you are curious about what's going on in the astrological weather, want to see what's happening in your chart, come on over to my other channel, Alchemist State, where I talk about the weekly aspects that are going on when they're forming exacts, how we can work with these energies, some things to maybe think about. And all that housekeeping is down in the description box below. But let me get you some prize cards here, Cancer, so I can get you out of here. Interesting. So you have the Three of Cups here, Cancer, in reverse. And what's interesting with this Three of Cups, this is Mercury in Cancer, the Three of Cups. And I feel like when we're feeling more grateful, when we're practicing that gratitude, when we're in that energy, then that attracts more of that abundance our way, like more, and I feel like more ways to get out of, to get through these situations, you know, that may be tougher energies or tougher times that we may be going through. And if there's something here about with the Three of Cups, being mindful of the people that you're around, the energies that you're, because this Three of Cups can be, as you can see, we got these three people here socializing. Be mindful of the energies that you're around, of the vibrations that they're happening, because maybe some of the stuff you may be feeling may be others people's feelings, and it might be bringing up something in you that is something to think about. But I feel like maybe it may be just something that is more than, I don't want to say they're ready to deal with, but just pay attention to picking up these energies around you, the vibrations that you're in, the exchanges of like people who, the messages that you're receiving. Just even thinking with that Eight of Wands that was in reverse, and even with the Devil being in reverse, removing ourselves from toxic situations. You know, knowing that you have more options with the Seven of Cups being in reverse. But let me see what your oracle card here is. Thank you, herself. Interesting. Absolutely, Cancer. So you have the Bluebird spirit here, which is a chariot energy. You got number 7 here, but this is a card of happiness. And like I was saying at the beginning, you know, Leo is about this is, I feel more than any other sign, Leo does understand happiness. You know, they are represented by the sun. They can light up a room. You know, and it's not necessarily that Leo is just like they're just naturally gregarious, because they're introverted Leos as well. They have a 12th house sun Leo. But actually, my stepdad is a 12th house sun. Or yeah, he's a 12th house sun Leo. Yeah, he is. But you know, Leo energy does exude this happiness, you know, and I feel like it comes from being grateful that you do have each day. Fire energy, I feel, has a passion for life. You know, they have a way of, you know, there's opportunities. There's a chance to create, a chance to be, a chance to define who you are and what brings you happiness, and going towards those things. But I feel in going towards your happiness, you're going to come across challenges on the way. That's just part of the journey, because you're growing into a higher version of yourself. And I almost feel like that there's this, with that, when the moon was forming, that's how she's forming that square with Jupiter. I almost feel like maybe it's like a growing pains. Oh, well, look at that, we got hearts, Cancer. There may be a growing pains that are going on here, but treat them with love. Treat them with happiness, Cancer. Follow your happiness. Remember the bigger picture. When we talk about that, how that you got that card, that moon, last quarter moon in Sagittarius, and you know, letting go of any sort of limiting beliefs with that energy. Even just that's something to think about too with the last quarter moon in Sagittarius. That's what I would say for that. To, you know, things that may have been restricting you, exercising more gratitude, because I feel that does bring in more happiness into your world there, Cancer. So I think I'm gonna leave that there. Stay aware out there, Cancer. Stay present. Stay grounded. And know that whenever you come across this video, you are in sync with the moon, and enjoy this energy, Cancer. And I will catch you on the next one, Mercury Day.